It started like the perfect Sunday morning, you know the kind. A light breeze, coffee in hand, reggae tunes flowing from the Bluetooth speaker, and me, mid-dive into my backyard pool. The world felt peaceful, simple. That is, until I spotted it. A blinking red light, pulsing like a robotic firefly just above my hedge. A camera, angled perfectly at my pool. I live in a quiet cul-de-sac in Stonehaven, Texas. No crime, no traffic, just retirees, BBQs, and overwatered lawns. But someone with too much time and too little sense had installed a surveillance camera aimed straight into my backyard oasis. Dripping wet, I grabbed a towel and checked the HOA app. Sure enough, new safety initiative. Cameras installed in community corners. Except my pool isn't on a corner, and the only threat around here is the occasional squirrel squabble. I knew exactly who was behind it. Karen Mitchell, HOA president, the kind of woman who'd report you for a mailbox flag that clashes with your trim. She'd had it in for me ever since I outbid her cousin on this house and painted the shutters teal instead of the mandated taupe. The next morning, I stormed to the HOA shed, the community office, and found Karen sipping something kale-colored and smug. When I mentioned the camera, she blinked and said, "Community safety is everyone's responsibility. Your pool happens to be in a visible line of sight." I nearly choked. Visible to who? The Hawks? Article 39B of the HOA Code, she snapped. Public sight lines must remain unobstructed. Unreal. Karen had basically declared that anything she could see, she could control. Back home, I dug into the bylaws. Article 39B was as vague as it sounded, and Karen was exploiting that loophole to spy on my backyard. So I called my cousin Leo. He builds stage props for theme parks and once crafted a life-sized inflatable T-Rex for a sci-fi convention. "Can we make a giant inflatable wall?" I asked. "You want to block a camera with a balloon?" "No," I said. "I want to block an HOA tyranny with the most obnoxiously legal thing possible." He was in. We designed a 10-foot-tall, 25-foot-wide inflatable vinyl wall plastered with parrots, coconuts, and cartoon surfboards. The backside? Mirror vinyl. The front? A tropical rave. I filed for a temporary event installation permit under the HOA rules, the same ones they use for tent rentals and block parties. It got approved, probably because Karen thought I was planning a tiki party. By Friday morning, Leo and I were out there at dawn, inflating this beast. My dog, Rocket, barked like it was an alien invasion. By noon, the wall was up, and the camera was now staring at inflatable palm trees swaying in the breeze. I snapped a photo and posted it to the community app with the caption, "Privacy's a beach." 3 minutes later, Karen appeared at her fence, clutching her dog's leash like a grenade. "What is that?" I sipped my smoothie. "Decor for a pool party. Approved and permitted." She glared at the permit tag on my fence post like it was written in hieroglyphs, then stormed off. That night, an email arrived. "You are in violation of community aesthetic standards. Inflatable decor exceeding 5 feet must undergo board review." Nice try, Karen. That rule applied to permanent fixtures. I replied with a screenshot of the temporary clause and a coconut emoji. But she wasn't done. The next morning, my mailbox was stuffed with 8 citations, everything from excessive pool ripples to improper reflective use and ambient light pollution. It was absurd. So I posted every citation to the HOA forum with the caption, "Anyone else getting creative love letters from our board? Asking for a friend." That's when things got fun. Neighbors piped up. Linda got fined for a hazardous bird bath. Greg got dinged for the tilt of his patio umbrella. Karen wasn't just targeting mesh, was going full dictator. Then, jackpot, my doorbell cam caught Karen herself slipping those citations into my mailbox. That's a federal offense, folks. I sent the footage to my lawyer friend, who helped me file a privacy violation complaint with the city. 3 days later, a guy named Carl from code enforcement showed up, measured everything, checked the permits, and watched the footage. "This is the most entertaining case I've worked in months," he said. Meanwhile, the wall became a local legend. People stopped by for selfies. Someone left parrot-shaped cookies on my doorstep. A lifestyle blog ran a piece called "Backyard Tiki Vibes vs. HOA Mayhem." At the next HOA meeting, Karen tried to ram through a new rule banning structures over 6 feet without unanimous board approval. I stood up in a Hawaiian shirt and said, This isn't about decor. It's about control. The room erupted in applause. One board member whispered to another. They called the vote. The proposal? Shot down. Karen went ballistic, filing for a restraining order, claiming my wall caused her emotional distress and parrot-induced anxiety. The judge glanced at the evidence and said, "This feels retaliatory." Denied. 2 days later, the camera vanished, no announcement, no apology. Then came the twist. Maya, a board member who'd had my back, invited me to a strategy meeting. The board was fed up. They voted and ousted Karen as president. Her resignation letter blamed the wall, the court, the board, and a decline in neighborhood values fueled by inflatable anarchy. Maya took over, and her first move was a community survey to rethink the rules. Then came the block party. My backyard was packed, Hawaiian shirts everywhere. Greg passed out koozies that said, "Free the lawn." Kids splashed in the pool. Linda brought parrot cookies. A city zoning official stopped by, saying she'd followed the saga and that they were revising HOA surveillance guidelines based on our case. As the sun set, I looked around, music, laughter, neighbors actually talking to each other, all sparked by one ridiculous, glorious inflatable wall. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever dealt with an overzealous HOA? What would you do if a camera popped up over your pool? Drop your thoughts below, and let's talk about it in the comments.